Welcome, watchers. Let's unveil the truth behind the public school system. This isn't just school. This is a meticulously engineered system of control designed by the elite to turn free-thinking humans into obedient drones. And it all starts with this undeniable truth. Every day all over the world, millions of bright young minds are spending the best years of their lives being herded around by governments, as if they're cattle responding to bells, whistles, and other Pavlovian Skinnerian conditioning. They're locked into this program Monday to Friday from 7 to 5. Performing boring and arduous tasks against their will because society and governments have deemed it necessary. That's right, deemed necessary by who? Not by parents, not by kids, not by innovators or dreamers. No, this blueprint comes straight from the shadowy architects of modern society, the industrial titans, the global bankers, and the puppet master governments they've bought and paid for. Now, let's connect the dots, piece by piece, and shatter the matrix they've built around our minds. First off, rewind to the 19th century. The modern public education system didn't sprout from some noble quest for enlightenment. It was imported from Prussia, yes, the same militaristic empire that birthed the obedient soldier class. In the 1800s, after Prussia's humiliating defeat by Napoleon, their leaders realized they needed a population that followed orders without question. Enter Johann Fichte and his Addresses to the German Nation, where he outright admitted the goal was to mold children into extensions of the state. No individuality, no rebellion, just compliant cogs in the war machine. But here's where it gets juicy. This Prussian model didn't stay in Europe. It was deliberately exported to America by the likes of Horace Mann, who called it the Great Equalizer. Equalizer for what? For turning farmers' kids into factory fodder during the Industrial Revolution. Think about it. The bell rings, you switch tasks. The whistle blows, you line up. Sound familiar? It's straight out of Pavlov's dog experiments and B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning labs. They weren't educating, they were programming. And who funded this rollout in the U.S.? The Rockefellers and Carnegies, the oil barons, and steel magnates who needed a workforce dumbed down enough to slave away in their factories without asking why they're getting pennies while the elites hoard billions. Connect that dot to today. John D. Rockefeller himself said, "I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers." Through his General Education Board, he poured millions into reshaping schools, ensuring curricula focused on rote memorization over critical thinking. Why? Because thinkers question authority and well workers punch clocks. Now, fast forward to the 20th century, and you've got the Ford Foundation and other globalist think tanks tweaking the system further, aligning it with UNESCO's agendas, part of the United Nations push for global citizenship. Smells like New World Order, doesn't it? They're not teaching history, they're rewriting it to glorify the state, suppress real heroes like Tesla or suppressed inventors, and bury truths about ancient civilizations that prove humanity's potential is limitless without their chains. Let's zoom in on the conspiracy core. This isn't accidental inefficiency, it's deliberate sabotage. Why else would schools crush creativity with standardized tests that reward conformity? SATs, ACTs, ABCs, haha. They're not measuring intelligence, they're filtering out free spirits who might disrupt the status quo. Oh, and the homework grind? It's really designed to exhaust you, leaving no energy for true learning. One could be hacking codes, building businesses, or uncovering suppressed knowledge about free energy or holistic health that Big Pharma doesn't want you knowing. Wait, it gets darker. Ever notice how schools push vaccines, fluoride in the water, which is known to calcify your pineal gland, the third eye for intuition, oh, and processed cafeteria slop that dulls your brain? It's all connected to the depopulation agenda. Agenda 21, now rebranded as Agenda 2030. They want fewer thinkers, more consumers hooked on debt from student loans that fund the bankers. And the tech overlords? Google's Don't Be Evil facade hides how they're data mining kids through Chromebooks, feeding AI algorithms to predict and control behavior from cradle to grave. Take a look at whistleblowers like John Taylor Gatto, an award-winning teacher who quit and wrote Dumbing Us Down. He was exposing how schools create emotional and intellectual dependency. John Taylor Gatto wasn't some ivory tower academic or disgruntled outsider. He was a frontline soldier in the trenches of the public education system for nearly 30 years. A New York City school teacher who won both New York State and New York City Teacher of the Year awards in 1991, Gatto had the credentials to make his voice hit like a sledgehammer. But instead of basking in the praise, he used that platform to drop a bombshell. The system he helped prop up for decades was never about enlightenment. It was a deliberate tool for control, conformity, and creating a nation of compliant consumers. His whistleblowing exposed the hidden curriculum that's been churning out obedient drones since the Industrial Revolution, and it's more relevant today than ever. Let's break it down: who he was, what he revealed, and why it still shakes the foundations of what we call education. The man behind the manifesto, born in 1935 in Monongahela, Pennsylvania, a gritty steel town near Pittsburgh, Gatto grew up in the shadow of America's industrial boom. He taught in some of Manhattan's roughest and ritziest schools, witnessing firsthand how the system chewed up kids' spirits. By 1991, at the peak of his career, Gatto's acceptance speech for the New York State Teacher of the Year award, for him, it wasn't a pat on the back for the status quo, it was a public gut punch. He quit on the spot, declaring that the public schools are a giant laboratory for experimentation on young minds. From there, he pivoted to writing, speaking, and activism, churning out books that peeled back the layers of the education conspiracy. Gatto passed away after having some strokes in 2018, but not before leaving a legacy that inspired homeschoolers, unschoolers, and anyone who's ever questioned why school feels like a cage. He even ran for New York State Senate twice as a Conservative Party candidate, railing against the very bureaucracy that funded his old job. Gatto's whistleblowing crystallized in his 1992 bestseller, Dumbing Us Down, The Hidden Curriculum of Compulsory Schooling. This wasn't dry theory, it was a raw autopsy of the 7 unspoken lessons schools teach every day, from bells that train Pavlovian obedience to fragmented schedules that kill deep thinking. Here's the gut punch list he laid out for people to see. First, confusion. Kids get a mishmash of facts without context, ensuring they never connect the dots to see the big picture or think to question it. Class position. You're sorted into winners and losers early, breeding resentment and a caste system disguised as merit. Indifference, caring too much. That's dangerous. Schools reward apathy to keep you from rocking the boat. Emotional and intellectual dependency. You're conditioned to wait for permission, turning self-starters into perpetual students of authority. Provisional self-esteem, your worth, tied to grades and approval, not intrinsic value, perfect for a consumer economy. One can't hide. Constant surveillance, hello attendance sheets, erodes privacy and autonomy. Constant surveillance, you're always watched, fostering paranoia and snuffing out rebellion. In the Underground History of American Education, 2000, Gatto went deeper, tracing the system's roots to Prussian military academies of the 1800s exported to America by elites like Horace Mann and bankrolled by Rockefellers, to mass-produce factory workers, not free thinkers. He quoted H.L. Mencken, calling it a plot to create mediocre intellects for a manageable populace. Gatto's 2003 essay Against School, published in Harper's Magazine, hammered it home. Schools aren't failing, they're succeeding at their true mission, crippling kids' genius to serve corporate and state overlords. As he wrote it, we suppress our genius only because we haven't yet figured out how to manage a population of educated men and women. The solution, let them manage themselves. This wasn't sour grapes. Gatto backed it with history, whistleblower docs, and his own classroom war stories. He called schools virtual factories of childishness, where boredom is engineered to break spirits. Critics dismissed him as a crank, but his ideas fueled the homeschooling boom. Now over 3 million US kids strong, and also influenced films like Indoctrination 2011, where he warned of schools as tools for cultural decline. Why it hits like a conspiracy red pill. Gatto's revelations connect straight to the elite agendas we've been unpacking. Rockefeller's push for workers, not thinkers, Gates' Common Core as modern mind control, and UNESCO's globalist citizenship training. He exposed how the system calcifies your pineal gland with fluoride-laced water and slop food, all while debt-trapping you into lifelong servitude. It's not inefficiency, it's sabotage, priming us for surveillance states and transhuman traps. Gatto didn't just whine, he offered escapes, unschooling, open-source learning, and reclaiming family as the real engine of education. As he said, whatever an education is, it should make you a unique individual, not a conformist. In a world where AI is the overlord's new monster and endless failing public schools echo his warnings, Gatto's whistleblowing isn't history, it's a blueprint for rebellion. Dive into Dumbing Us Down or Against School, free online, and ask, was your schooling education or indoctrination? The truth sets you free. It's time to unschool the matrix. Charlotte Isabit, a Reagan-era insider who leaked documents showing the deliberate shift to outcome-based education, aka brainwashing for globalism. And don't get me started on Common Core, funded by Bill Gates. It's math that confuses on purpose, history that whitewashes tyranny, and reading that prioritizes propaganda over classics. So, what's the end game? A docile population primed for transhumanism, chipped, tracked, and plugged into the metaverse where the elites pull every string. But here's the red pill. You don't have to play their game. Homeschooling is exploding because parents are waking up. Unschooling lets kids learn naturally, pursuing passions that build empires, not cubicles. Communities are forming off-grid, teaching real skills like permaculture and cryptography to evade the surveillance state. If this hits home, smash that like button, subscribe for more truth bombs, and share this video before they shadow ban it. Comment below, were you a victim of this system? What's your escape story? Together, we break the chains of the empire of lies. Remember, Watcher, keep the oil of your lamp burning brightly in this last hour. Knowledge isn't power unless you turn it into knowledge applied. That's wisdom. Stay vigilant, beloved, question everything and every spirit, thought, and never ever let them herd you in again. Till next time, truth seekers, seek the truth in all you do. In truth's grip, peace.
You don't want to be a child left behind, do you? You don't want to be a child left behind, do you? You don't want to be a child left behind, do you?